welcome to episode number 216 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We are recording on September the 24th, 2023. My name is Eric, host of the show based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, and computer geek. As a first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events, started a small preparedness company to help people better prepare for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
And I'm Jeff. I'm based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, ham radio operator, general overall handyman, and weather nerd.
And I'm Brad. I'm in Eastern Ontario, part-time amateur prepper, constantly trying to better myself.
My name is Pierre. I'm a tactical beard owner, a t-shirt funny maker guy, government critique, a wannabe prepper, and the reason we mostly hit the explicit button.
And when I know how to operate my microphone, I'm the Frugal Gunny. Recently moved to Northern Ontario in the middle of nowhere. I'm an off-gridder, a shooter, a hunter, fisher, gatherer, trapper type, and a generalist. And it's only recently that I came to accept that I'm a prepper.
I'm Terry. I live in sunny Central Ontario. I'm a starving indie author, terrible hunter, pathetic fisherman. But despite my failings, the annuals prepper meet has made me their spokesperson. I'm not sure how I'm going to make out of that one, but I'm going to do my best.
It's a great intro, Terry. Quite enjoy it.
Love it.
I'm
America,
Greg, former infantryman, homesteader, and and I can see Canada from my house.
No, that's a pitch. If you want to help to support the show, you can embrace some consumerism and buy some swag. We have both the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and the tactical Velcro patch at prepperpodcast.ca. All proceeds help keep the lights on, the backup generator fueled, and cover our podcast costs.
And if you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes and submit a review on iTunes or wherever you have found us. We seriously want your feedback, good or bad, even if it's just a topic you want us to cover or something you learned this week. You can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
All right, so we've got some rolling content for you in this episode. Yes, the terrible dad jokes just continue into episode 216. We're going to start off with some news, as per usual. We'll update you on our personal preps and what we've done since the last episode. Then we're going to get into the main topic, and we're talking about prepping with only a vehicle to yourself tonight. So let's move into the news, shall we? You're up, Brad.
Oh, there we go. I hate the fact that Ottawa is becoming more and more and more like a really, really big city. A whole bunch of shootings are on the rise in the last little while, and I am really, really glad that I don't live there anymore.
It's at least better than Toronto.
It actually is for the moment, but with all the new expansion and the subdivisions going in, all these new people coming in, bring all their problems and hypocrisies and ways of doing things that aren't right, and then you just get pew-pews all over the place, and then we might see Eric more.
Yeah.
No, but I don't tend to run around and go pew-pew.
Or me.
But it's funny, none of that ever happened during the convoy.
Yeah. Because I actually, as we were talking, as Brad mentioned that, I thought of an article I saw the other day where there were 3 shootings in less than 12 hours, 2 of them on the exact same block within I think 9 hours of each other. Yeah, so it's, I don't know, it's just something weird going on where
another one I think it was like 6 or 7 hours after that, and then again Saturday there was some again. Yeah, 1 or 2 others. Like, I am so glad I don't live. And I looked up where all the shootings were, and they weren't terribly too far from different places that I have lived in Ottawa. And I'm very glad that I don't live there anymore.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Even up here in the sticks. You listen to the news, and hardly a day goes by when there's not some druggie or something getting picked up, stopped by the cops. They always got firearms. Always illegal.
Yep.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
And I really hate to say it, but was at the in-laws' place tonight, actually in Barrhaven, and we heard fire trucks 3 times in, I think, 4 hours. And my wife had said, yeah, she's starting to hear them more and more out where we are during the day as well. And it's all volunteer out here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, like, what's going on? Yeah, I live between Cornwall and Ottawa, but am I going to have to move further into the sticks?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Even without
absolutely.
all the information you
The
just said,
answer to that
the
will
answer
always
is
be
still
yes. 100%.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what you preface it with. As soon as you ask, do I have to move further into the sticks? The answer will always be yes, no matter what.
100%.
I just don't know how much further you can go into the sticks before you're getting closer to big cities again.
Probably have to ask Gunny that.
There's a fine line, but I'll take you there. I can take you there.
Oh, and I guess for news this week, I got that Canada and the Indian government are duking it out over this shooting of this Sikh terrorist. The Indians call him a terrorist, and Canada calls them Canadian citizens. There's some feuding back and forth going on there. Still early in the game yet, but there's a lot of finger pointing going on.
In politics? No.
No, I
Never
know.
happened.
You don't say.
All right. Anyone else have any news articles or noteworthy things to mention?
No, I will
Stay away
do my
from the
best
news.
to try and find the news article about the shootings and put it in here, but I'm not making lots of promises for people that follow up in the show notes.
No problem. All right. Let's move into what we've done lately for preps, and we'll kick off with Brad.
Well, actually, I met up with Eric
It's true.
during the week. Well, he was in town. He had some things he was doing, and he had a couple of things that he had printed off on his handy dandy 3D printer for me. And I actually set one of those up today, Eric, and it works just fine.
Excellent. Good to know.
Not completely wired, but just temporarily done, and it's going to work nicely. I may actually order a couple more of those later, but that's really good.
Excellent. I like it.
Yeah, thank you. Did a bit of cleanup in my mudroom, working on prepping my camp trailer for shutdown. Organized a few things in there. Had a little gathering here last night. A bunch of my one of my kids' friends over for his little birthday party, and Pierre was here for quite a while with his wife, and we burnt all my extra cardboard waste. And then, of course, there's always the daily grind of work. Blech. That's
Fair enough.
I got the Jenny running. It still needs some work. It still doesn't idle worth a crap, but at least it is running now if I desperately need it. I did some fuel rotation, and outside of that, in case you can't tell by my nasally sound, I've been sick for about the last 4 days. So the beauty of prepping is not that I was scared to go anywhere. I wasn't. I just didn't have to go anywhere. I had everything I needed at home. I had my food. I had my water. I even had some meds and stuff. So I just kind of hunkered down and got myself feeling better for about 4 days.
You quarantined yourself against the rest of humanity.
Well, I just figured I wouldn't want to upset too many other people by making them sick. I could have, I could have just gone around licking people, but then Eric would have had to arrest me. So
I appreciate you not coming by and licking the door handles here.
I didn't.
Next time.
Well, it's usually the windows. I figured he'd flip to door handles when he's sick, right? So
The snozberries taste like snozberries.
oh boy. Is that the generator that you got cheap there, Jeff, that's running now, or is that a different generator you're talking about?
Nope, that's the one I got for cheapy.
Nice.
Nice.
Awesome.
I kind of pulled the carb apart and drained the old fuel out of it and cleaned the carb as best I could, but I think there's still probably some leftover varnish or something in there, and it's sticking one of the needle valves. So I'll go back in when I feel better and work at it. It'll run right now, so I'm not in a hurry to do it. But
yeah, nice. Well, it's good you got it up and running.
Yeah, good job.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, for myself, I was running all over the place for work, and somehow ended up in a Brad and Gunny's backyard and was able to stop by, have a quick coffee, say hello, get those 3D printed items off to Brad. And yeah, it was nice to be able to, it's always good to be able to shake a hand, have a coffee, and say hello, right?
Absolutely.
There's the one side of it, meeting every Sunday on a screen, but meeting face to face is always good. So it's nice to be able to spend some time and chat.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And beyond that, it was work, and more work, and a lot of driving this week. My God, I put a lot of kilometers on. Oof. Felt like Brad.
Yes. Yes.
So I was unfortunately not invited to the little powwow of meeting close to the Ottawa area.
Yeah. You just couldn't show up.
Don't
say you weren't invited. You made excuses.
It's true. Brad messaged saying, "Hey, I might be meeting up with Eric because I
wasn't invited."
But I ended up being in La Belle Province those 2 days, so it was unfortunate we couldn't meet up while I was working. So we're slowly packing up the house, trying to figure out what can we do without the next 40 days and get it packed up, everything out of the way. And as we're doing that, I'm finding a bunch of things that I'm like, oh, that'll be good for when the truck shows up, or we can do something. And then you didn't know you had them, or you forgot about them, and now you find your tickle trunk, and then the packing goes on the wayside, and now you got a bunch of new toys. I'm trying to figure that, and then trying to figure out the best way to start rotating through some of the stock just to make the move a little bit easier. And maybe do we just stock up a little bit of cash, and then once we get in and get settled up, go do the resupply instead of buying everything now, and crossing our fingers that everything will be good there, because nobody wants to move 100 cans of soup. So if you can, avoid all that. But if you can avoid that, right?
I would move 100 cans of soup from the grocery store to my pantry.
Yeah, but packing it from your pantry into a box, putting it in your truck or a trailer, and then getting friends to help you, So trying to weigh out those options of, do we want to consume and use up some of the stuff we normally have, stocked and we tend to rotate? Do we want to use a little bit of that to make the move a little bit easier? And, take that a little bit of extra money, have the $400 or $500 to replace it all. Once we get settled in, go do those runs at those stores and, do that. So, we're weighing out those options because, it sucks.
Fair enough. Spoiler alert, I might be back in your area mid-October. Just saying.
Cool. Well, we don't have another auction until January, so I won't have to go to La Belle Province.
Perfect. Frugal.
Oh, man. What have I been up to this week? Well, I met up with Eric, and that was kind of fun. What else have I been doing? Been doing a lot of work on the truck, getting it ready, mostly a lot of brain work. If any of you are like me and do everything yourself, you probably spend about 80% to 90% of the time thinking about what you're going to do, so you don't have to mess it up and do it again a second time. If there's one thing I hate, it's redoing a job twice. Oh, that drives me nuts. So, been working on that. Finished preparing my winch. Next step is repairing and swapping out battery terminals, because what I want to be able to do is to run my winch from the front as well as from the back. So my setup is a portable winch that I can drag from the front to the back, and I'm now setting it up so I can run it from the back as well as from the front, so that I can retrieve my snowmobile and repair it for the winter, or also retrieve a large deer, for example. Using my winch and my little trailer. If you're one fella and you down a big bruiser of a buck, it's pretty nice knowing that, hey, I can just use the winch and pull them onto the trailer after I've gutted them and do all of my work, even maybe in the trailer. I don't have to do it on the ground. So having the ability to pull...
Sorry, Gunnar, you doing that by two hitch receivers front and back? Is that how you're doing it?
Yes, that's exactly right. I have an add-on front hitch receiver, and on the back or the front, when I want to run the winch and the trailer, because I can run the winch on either side and the trailer on either side, is I'm going to use simply a hitch doubler, which allows you to slip it into your regular hitch. You get a hitch extension out of that, and then there is a second hitch above it. It doesn't give you full 5,000-pound capacity on both of those hitches, by the way. That upper auxiliary hitch will essentially give you about 1,500 pounds capacity. And that's more than enough for me to put my winch on and pull something onto the bed of the truck. So I'm going to be testing that in the next couple of weeks. And if it's successful, I'll probably pop up a little video of how I did it, just using some budget Princess Auto parts. So that's what I've been working on that side of things.
If you need some wiring stuff or some welding stuff, you let me know. I've got a location that may be able to accommodate both.
Oh, you're talking my kind of talk. I will do strange things for large gauge wire. So
yeah, we're good. Done.
Well, you know.
Yeah. We'll talk after.
Sounds fantastic. And speaking of large gauge wire, I've also been making some progress on my friend's solar system, and I published a few videos about that. And I'm just getting ready to go and prepare the cabin and winterize it and shut her down.
Very nice.
Busy boy.
Sounds like it. I think we're off to Terry.
Okay, well, I've been looking into backup solar power systems. So I purchased myself a little electrical usage meter. So I've been experimenting this week, plugging it into different appliances that I would tend to use more often and getting a usage over a 24-hour period so I can kind of get a handle on how big a system I might need.
Terry, is that a kilowatts?
Yeah, it's a kilowatt meter.
They work well.
Yeah, it seems pretty cool. I'm still in the learning curve, but I've got it plugged into a few things. Overnight, I had it plugged into I got a little travel trailer, so I plugged it into that with the fridge running to see, just how much that thing's going to burn in a 24-hour period. Because I'd like to have a portable system that you can move from the house to the trailer and back and forth. Because I just thought that's the way I'd like to go with it. And my other interesting thing this week was standard operational procedure for me. Whenever I go into town, I got to do a circuit of the local grocery store, the local food land. And I swing by the meat counter and look for anything that's budget, anything that's 30%, 50% off. And if it is, it's going in my cart. And I keep the freezers full, and I keep my honey thinking I'm a lunatic, which I might be, but, I got full freezers. So, all is well. All is well.
About half and half, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Very nice. All right. Well, with that, let's move ourselves into the main topic. So this evening, we figured we'd talk about prepping with only a vehicle to yourself. So this topic was initially brought up by Ian, who has found himself...
Who's that?
Yeah, I know, right? There must be... There's got to be a typo in the...
That was here last week?
That was the intern. Yeah.
Oh, the intern. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We decided not to show up this evening. So, you mentioned that you wanted to talk about this. He had a whole slew of things to talk about. And the fact that, he just spent, 6 or 7 or 8 months with just a vehicle here in Ontario, and thought that he'd be our subject matter expert this evening, and then announced after we got everything all set up that, I'm not coming. So you can see what he thinks about all the listeners and us having content for this evening. So take that for whatever you'd like.
Before we actually go on with it, maybe we should also allow Greg to mention what he says, as you can see from the chat.
I don't know. Do we want to?
I was just going to let y'all run with it. I was like, I've been pretty busy at the house. I got the fence up for the horse, got all that wired up, running solar on it, working on her running right now. Went and picked up a little 4-wheel drive ATV, little Kawasaki. So been using it all day. Got it for a steal, and it's definitely earned its keep just today for what I got into it. So very happy. Tore down a chicken coop. So there's that.
Very nice.
I'm not going into that question.
Oh boy.
But no, I've got the horse home and everything. She's doing great.
Nice.
So she's acclimating to the weather very nicely. To be from moving from Georgia to Vermont, she's doing extremely well. So I'm very happy with the progress she's making.
Very good.
Nice.
Well, that's awesome. And sorry for cutting you out there, Greg. You're not in the list in the show notes here, and we're used to you not being here, so I just figured you weren't here, but you are.
Come on, man. I just moved like 1,800 miles across the country. Give me a break. I know I've been gone a minute. I'm back now. Fine. I'm back.
All right. Okay. That's all right. We'll remember you for next week. How about that?
All right.
All right. So now, did I miss anybody? Is there anybody else on the list that I haven't got? No. Yeah. Everybody else? Okay. Perfect. So, main topic time. So, like I said, we are moving into prepping with only a vehicle to yourself. Our intern, Ian, who wanted to list this episode as his main talking point, like I said, decided to not show up this evening after getting it all set up. So, here we are without Ian, but we're used to it. So, it's fine.
Yeah. Lots of love.
Oh, yeah, of course. But I'll open it up to the panel. We can just discuss kind of what you would do if all you had was a vehicle to yourself, and we'll just open her up. Whoever wants to start talking, go for it.
Well, I guess I'm at the top of the list, so just a few small things. I obviously, if it's only your vehicle, you need to keep an extra supply of fuel. You never know when you may need some extra fuel. I always carry, in my truck, I have a toolbox in the back, and I always carry, I've got booster cables. I got a whole whack of miscellaneous tools. I've got an extra bottle jack. I've got a tow rope, booster cables, lock de-icer. I've even got a set of, they're the magnetic lights you can buy for towing a trailer that maybe the lights quit working. You just plop them on with a magnet, plug it in through your trailer hitch receiver, and I've even got one of those in my my pack. I've got a small air compressor, and I think that's pretty well what I've got in there. I mean, obviously in the truck I've got a couple bottles of water, and I've got some snacks and stuff like that. But I'm thinking more. If you're in your vehicle for that long, you may end up needing, tools. Like I say, tools. Small bottle jack. You got to change a flat tire. You got to have somebody else change a flat tire. It's a lot better than digging out a jack from inside the vehicle somewhere. So.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that even before I would consider buying a bottle jack and using the jack that comes with the vehicle is go to Princess Auto, Canadian Tire, and buying a breaker bar with the proper socket that fits your vehicle. Because getting a good bottle jack so you don't have to fight as much with the jack is really nice. But like, I have a truck where my tires are torqued to 140 pounds, and they give you a bar about this big, and I'm like, it's not so bad. Well, it's not so bad. Like if you're in town, you parked your vehicle, you're doing whatever, and you're next to a curb. Like you figure out which way to do it, and you can use the curb, like put the breaker bar on the curb, and then you either drive forward, backward. You can crack the nuts that way. But like on the side of the highway, like getting a good 24-inch breaker bar, ratchet, whichever one you want, and at least
small piece of steel pipe fits over the other bar that comes with it and gives you more.
Yeah, something to break the nuts. If you haven't had your tires rotated in a while, or it's that time of year where just the rust is settled, that's always at the top of my list. That's the first thing I do, and then I replace the jack. It doesn't cost much, and it will save you a giant headache than trying to do those little T-bars or whatever, depending on the vehicle you had. When was it the last time you had the tires off? It sucks way more to use the jack that comes with the vehicle, but it's going to suck a lot more if you can't even crack the nut.
I have to agree 100% with Pierre. If there's one thing that's worth it for every vehicle you have, you buy a single Johnson bar. It doesn't have to be a snap-on tool.
Nope.
You can go to Princess Auto, get yourself a Johnson bar, that's what it's called, or a breaker bar. With a half-inch socket. Get a single deep socket for your size of wheel nut. And with that, you're guaranteed you're going to be able to break that nut in pretty much every circumstance, unless you let King Kong tighten your wheel nuts.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to,
so one thing I do in my truck. Go ahead, Pierre. My bad.
Okay, no. So yes, get the one for yours. Rule of thumb: if you get a 17, a 19, a 21, and a 22, you'll pretty much be able to assist anybody on the side of the road with that. So if you get those 4 or 5 sockets, those are pretty much everything that'll do everything other than maybe transport trucks. Just a thought, if you've got a little bit of money and you want to be a non-douchey person and you can help someone on the side of the road, having those sockets will pretty much get you by for taking anything off, but at bare minimum, get the one for yours.
Are you still working on being a non-douchey person this week, or have you gone back to regular operations?
Did you hear that in my fucking preps?
Just wanted to make sure. Just wanted to make sure. Clearly, you've gone back to being a douchey person. Perfect. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and talk about what I keep in my truck and whatnot for a little bit. I think I got mine at Harbor Freight, and what Pierre was talking about, the main sockets. Harbor Freight has a color-coded impact wheel-specific socket set, and I got a set of the torque sticks, and I'll keep an electric impact wrench in the toolbox in my truck, because if I'm on the side of the road, I don't want to be on the side of the road, so I want to get in and out of there as fast as I can. But I'll use a little electric impact wrench, and I'm gone. I use it all the time if I'm rotating my tires at the house, anything like that. I mean, it's pretty decent size too. I mean, I've got 20-inch rims with 33-inch all-terrains, so I mean, that it holds its own pretty well. Another thing I kept in the truck, my kit for moving from Georgia to Vermont, is I did keep a supply of water, but I used the I think mine was Clean Canteen single wall water bottle. Kept my little camp stove in the truck in case anything happened. I can collect, boil, and drink all out of the same container. Of course, my average kit that I always keep in my truck. I might sound a little crazy when I say this, but y'all already know I had my rifle in my truck, my sidearm, ammunition, which is usually at least one combat load. One combat load. And I think I was carrying the Beretta, so I had I think 1 or 2 mags of 9mm hollow points. So that, and I can't remember what the little 4-way tool for your like public faucets.
Yes.
I can't remember the damn name of it for some reason.
Silox.
Mel said can.
Wilcox.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. So I got one of those in my kit. Mel said can opener. That's what the Beretta's for. But
who invited
my
this guy
long
again?
distance hole punch. But not other than that, I mean, for 300 rounds, that's cute. Darius said 300 rounds for those not familiar with standard combat load. But I kept spark plugs, extra oil, an extra oil filter just in case, road debris bounces up, punches a hole in your oil filter, stuff like that. Just pretty much anything that could go wrong, besides like major malfunctions, but like routine maintenance stuff, oil filter, oil, antifreeze, transmission fluid, stuff like that. Extra bit of that. Make sure you can get off the road pretty quick. Another thing is quick steel. Little putty, it's like JB Weld, but it hardens really fast. If anything punches a hole in your oil pan or anything like that, you can bead that up, throw it on there. It'll harden pretty quick, especially with the heat from the engine. It'll get you back on the road fast enough anyway. So
nice. You got some.
That's really about all I got.
You're covering the basics, right?
Of course, my tow rope and everything. Yeah.
Minus the firearms. Firearms aren't basics in Canada, but America and all.
That's right. Here, if you're not going to the range or going hunting with it, it could be considered dangerous to the public purpose. But then again, a bat can be be dangerous.
I'm a fucking menace to society. What are you talking about?
There's the explicit button.
Sweet.
Took you this long to hit it?
Pierre has been a good boy tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, but Greg's also here.
31 minutes. That's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah.
Well, I'm feeling like maybe I've gone a bit overboard with my vehicle preps now.
Come on. No.
Well, Eric got to see what my setup looks like a little bit.
Okay, I was about to say, I was like, you saw his truck, right? Because we saw it when we went out to help salvage everything from there, and I was like, what do you have in your fucking cabin? Like, everything's in here.
I was thinking the same thing. Yep. I was thinking he just hadn't unpacked from packing up the cabin. But
so I have to admit, with a lot of laughter here, that the last 3 years I've bounced around so much. Between going to hunts that are way out in the middle of nowhere, to going to visit friends who are living way out in the middle of nowhere, to buying a cabin way out in the middle of nowhere.
I feel there's a theme here.
There is definitely a theme going on.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
have you ever been to the middle of nowhere?
I might have, but there's like different middles of the nowhere.
But if you didn't take a picture, it doesn't count.
Oh, well, you see the picture on my background right now? That's one of those middles of the nowhere.
Nice.
Yeah, I believe that picture was taken, that was about an hour north of Lone Lac, Ontario.
Lone Lac, so it's just dry?
So,
Lone Lac, so it's dry, right?
Lone Lac.
That's a French joke.
Yeah. So Lone Lac is a tiny little town about 2 hours past Hearst, if I'm not mistaken, an hour and a half past Hearst. You drive through this big dead zone to get through to it. And then from Lone Lac, we went about 1 hour north into the bush. So that's the photo you have behind me. So I regularly go to places where people don't exist unless they're visiting, where the animals are great. The owners. Oh, yeah, I love it. But it's a place that's very unforgiving. So if you make a mistake out there, you're on your own. You probably don't have comms unless you got a ham radio like Eric, and that's something I'm going to be working on, because when I go out there, I am so far off from the beaten path that there is no CAA or AAA for our American friends. That you don't get those.
There's no Amazon next day delivery.
No Amazon, no mail.
It's 2-day delivery where he goes.
There might not even be a paved road within an hour's drive of a lot of places I go. So my vehicle has then become my mobile base of operations. So I typically carry about 16 liters of water in the back. And I often use this water for people's dogs who, a dog can dehydrate really quickly. And so I've often given my water away for dogs who need to have a drink. I've used it to make hot coffee, hot tea by the roadside, to cool down, to wash wounds. I've used it for just to see through my sunglasses when they were full of mud, because it was a really muddy trail to drive through. So water can be useful for all kinds of things. So I keep that around for, it can also be used when it's really, really cold out. and things are freezing, if you need to thaw something out really quickly and you have thawed water in the vehicle, it doesn't take much warm water to completely take ice out. So if you've got something that's iced up really badly and you've got room temperature water in the vehicle, you can do all kinds of neat things with that in the wintertime. So I keep water at all times.
Do not use that to unthaw locks and your windows on your vehicles.
Good point.
And very bad for you.
Yes,
other things,
those are
100%. But do not use it to unthaw vehicles, vehicle locks. I mean, the lock's fine, sure, but it's going to be way worse later. Windows, you'll probably smash the window.
Yep.
Just
if you drop
it,
your,
just Google it.
And that's where the Beretta comes back in.
Yes. If you're hunting in Sub-Zero and your firearm makes it into the drink, you definitely don't want to wash it with more water. That calls for a different thing. So definitely a good point there, Pierre. It's gotten me out of trouble many times. I also keep food in the truck at all times. I typically have little snack bars like Larabar or Cliff Bar, something that has the high amount of protein and good, highly accessible fruit sugars. So I can get a quick boost of energy if I need to go for quite a while without sitting down to make a meal. It's good to have something that has like dates or apples in them, real fruit. But I also have dehydrated food. So, your camping type foods that you can get at Mountain Equipment Co-op or even Canadian Tire here in Canada. Walmart carries it too. There's different kinds. You just add water and away you go. You got yourself a good meal. So that's another thing that I keep in the truck. I usually keep about, let's say 5 to 6 days worth, if not a bit more. So if it's me and a friend and we're stranded, something happens, vehicle dies, we're not going to starve. We're not going to die because we're out of food and water. So that's the basics. I also keep a ton of tools and repair supplies. And I actually took notes, and I'm a little bit surprised at how much I have in there. So there's a reason why my pickup truck is a 1/4-ton truck that I had to add a whole bunch of suspension parts to. So that's the downside. When you come equipped with a whole pile of stuff like I do, you need a big vehicle or a little trailer or a lot of capacity, or like Eric saw, your 4-seater becomes a 2-seater truck. So here's a quick list of some of the tools.
I hate it when that happens.
I keep. Oh, I know, it's crazy, but that's where I'm at now. So I have kept an OBD2 reader in my vehicle
same way
for a
right
long
now.
time. Oh, so you know what it is. It's a mobile base of ops. At the very least, because it's a reliable vehicle, I know it's always there with me. That base is there, so it's that. But I have to have a complete socket set. I have impact sockets. I keep a Johnson bar in there. I have a number of cordless tools. And yes, I know I talk a lot about having hand tools, but cordless tools save you time. When you're by the roadside on a highway and you got to replace a tire in the left lane of a full 100 kilometer an hour, 60 mile an hour highway where people can barely even keep straight on the road, man, that is stressful. I don't want to be there for any longer than I have to. So if I have to change a tire out, I want to get in and out quick. So I keep cordless. Here's what I keep: angle grinder with different kinds of discs. I keep a chainsaw. If a tree falls down on the track, I want to be able to get that out of there really fast. If it's -30 to -40, I don't want to screw around out there. I keep a cordless 1/2 inch impact, and I keep a 3/8 inch cordless ratchet with impact bits. I got a little propane torch, a whole pile of little hand tools like channel locks, screwdrivers. I keep different kinds of wrenches, ratcheting wrenches, good old fixed end wrenches, an adjustable wrench, a really big one. Pipe wrenches are really good for swapping out trailer balls on the fly if you're stuck. I keep a pick, 2 or 3 different kinds of axes. I usually have a chopping axe, a splitting axe.
Pick?
Yes, I keep a pick in there.
You go mining or something, or what?
Well, I do have a prospecting license, so I actually have
God damn it.
an actual rock hammer in the truck. I keep a 3-ton come along with a snatch block, a small hydraulic jack, a little bottle jack, a larger one that acts as a stand because my truck is slightly lifted, so I need to be able to reach up in certain circumstances. I keep an air compressor in there. Usually when I'm running around the back bush, I have some sort of defense in the wilderness type firearm, usually a shotgun. So that means I also keep firearm maintenance tools in the truck, because if you ever take the drink with the thing, it's really nice to be able to clean it out and get back to business. Usually have oil, rags, all kinds of zip ties. Mechanics wire will save you more times than you realize. Just go buy a roll. If you've got a vehicle, just go buy a roll, put it in the back of your car. It will put up a muffler. It will hang up broken parts so that you can get home without them rattling everywhere.
A radiator.
Wires, awesome stuff. Radiator, there you go. Here come the stories. Right,
yeah,
mechanics wire will save you.
You could. I mean, the roll comes in what, like 200-300 feet of it, right?
Yeah, and
like,
in a pinch,
it's crazy. So like, I mean, having that will do all those other things. But I mean, if you end up in a scenario where you kind of fucked up your arm, you could, run that back and forth 40-50 times and kind of make yourself a splint.
Totally.
Would not be ideal, would be really crappy to do, but it does serve a giant dual purpose.
Yeah.
And even if you use a whole thing, like you pull up on an accident, something happens when you're with someone, and you got to mobilize their leg. Okay, well, like, deal with it. You've got them somewhere safe. You can get it. You've got some side cutters. You could go back, fold it back and forth, a whole bunch. Absolutely. Let's just say for some reason you're at a place that doesn't have sticks, right? Like, you could use it for that. Wouldn't be ideal. Would be very time consuming for it. But I mean, if it's all you've got, like, you could make yourself a finger splint.
Yep.
You could use that for first aid. Obviously, whenever you get anywhere, just be like, yeah, that's a mechanics wire that's been in the truck and rusty as shit. Like, you might want to give them a few shots for everything. But, it could be something where you're just not in a scenario where, you have resources that can get something to, prevent someone's arm from moving because it's very bad. But it's like, all right, let's figure out how this is: a finger, a thumb, toe, leg, calf, whatever. Like I said, wouldn't be ideal, little time consuming, but because like, to load up a bunch of mechanics wire next to each other and tape it to your leg, it's going to be, you can still bend it, but it's not going to be easy if you go enough time.
When I was a combat engineer, I used to keep a little spool of it wound up in the belt loop of my Gerber multi-tool. So if I was in the middle of the bush and I needed to stitch together two sticks to make a longer stick, for example, I have seen fixes with mechanics wire that become permanent because it just works. And so why go through the trouble to take it apart, repair it if it's still working?
But that could be your third hand if you're by yourself.
That's absolutely right. It will put up structures. You can make traps with it. You can repair a vehicle, get it back up and running with it. It's pretty miraculous stuff as far as I'm concerned.
And very, very cheap.
And super cheap. So you should all have one. I keep mine to keep it from rusting into a pile of nothing. I keep it in a little Rubbermaid bin in the back of the truck with some of my other tools that I keep. So I love mechanics wire. It has gotten me out of trouble many times.
I'm shocked that we just said that it's very, very cheap and that's something that Gunny was interested in. That's odd.
I know, right?
Am I the only one that finds that odd? Yeah, no.
You saw his
so out of character for me.
That's very out of character,
You saw all the supplies he has.
Oh, yeah. Do you keep a torque wrench in your vehicles?
Great point.
No.
Yeah. How many people have swapped out in an emergency, they swap out, they put their donut on, and they start making their way back to town, and they didn't properly torque it, and so they keep driving with it for another day or two, because that's just another day or two, right?
You run that bitch down 3 Ooga Doogas and call it a day.
That's right. Next thing you know, you got this funny little sound coming out of the wheel well, the wonka, wonka, wonka. And you might even hear that funny dinner plate sound, the whole thing buggering off on you. So It's a good idea to torque them down. I keep one in the truck. What else do I keep? A tire gauge?
Listen, cross-threaded or torque to spec. Tight is tight.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Man, after my own heart. Hey, in a bad fix, you can cross-thread something if the threads are screwed. Well, that's not the right term.
Mm-hmm.
If the threads are gone or in rough shape, you can cross-thread it sometimes just that one time, and it'll hold just long enough to get back. Yeah. But man, that's hairy. I wouldn't rely on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No,
that's one of them. You're
jam,
crawling to the next location.
Yeah. Now this is one of those situations. If you have to do that, you may want to double up with one of the other fixes I always have in the truck. So double up with mechanics wire, duct tape. Right? There's all kinds of ways that you can.
That'll hold your front wheel on.
Bubblegum?
Well, maybe not the wheel, but amazing things have been done with tow straps, with ratchet straps,
absolutely,
things like that. Right? Yeah. That's another thing I keep in the vehicle: a pry bar. If you've ever had to readjust an alternator while on the roadside, a pry bar is a really, really welcome thing. It is really hard to tension a pulley by hand with just your hands, unless you start digging for your jack handle or something else that's hard and steel and narrow enough to slip in behind an alternator to give it some tension. So that's like a quick run of just the tools that I have in the truck. I still have other stuff.
Yeah.
There is a lot of stuff in your truck.
But do you have a rifle?
Number 2.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. I always have a whole bunch of load management gear. Mm-hmm. So I got a winch. Load management gear. So, you put on all kinds of stuff in the back. You put it on a trailer.
Oh, that kind of load. Gotcha.
Yes. You're thinking of OnlyFans. Different thing. So I'm talking about things like my winch, the front and back, pitch receivers that I use, snatch block. I have a couple of different sizes. I have 2 or 3 different soft shackles. What I love about soft shackles is that they're infinitely more flexible than a hard shackle when you're doing recovery work.
Are we back to OnlyFans again?
Oh, geez. Maybe, are we? Did we go back there again?
I couldn't let you say soft and hard shackle and not go there. Sorry. Carry on.
Well, it's a new thing. I didn't know what they were until a couple of years ago, soft shackles. And now that I've used it a couple of times, I'm sold. My new winch rope, my new winch cable has a soft shackle on the end instead of a hook. Because then I can pull somebody else out and I don't have to worry about destroying a whole bunch of stuff and worrying about big metal hooks that also add weight, etc. So all kinds of that stuff. I have tow ropes, recovery ropes, tie down straps. I keep a couple of chains in there. And I even have traction pads, even though I'm not a huge fan of those things. I've only seen them work maybe 2 or 3 times in my lifespan so far. So it's not something I prioritize on a vehicle when you're going off-road, but it can get you out of a jam in a pinch without you having to do a lot of recovery work, right?
Yeah.
First aid kits, I usually have 2. I have a small one that I can throw somebody. It's big, it's red, highly visible. And I have another one that's a little more incognito. It's an old flying bag, a carry-on bag. But in there, I've got a bag of saline. I've got a rubber hose, so you can use it as a tourniquet in a pinch. I've got all kinds of bandages. I've got peroxide. I've got a whole bunch of stuff. Like, it's too much to mention. But I got lots of first aid stuff in there because, again, I've had to do a lot of first aid on myself in the bush. And if there's one thing that's really horrible is when you're leaking and you've got one hand to work with. And so now you're looking through your first aid stuff and, oh, geez, where did I put the boo-boo kit? Where did I put the iodine? So I usually have a lot of first aid stuff in the vehicle. I keep a bug net and bug juice during the summertime. During the wintertime, there's a toque and socks. And there's always a spare change of clothes in a dry bag. Finally, now and then, I've got some SHTF kind of gear. So we're talking about go bags. I don't have a single one go bag. As you can see, when you've got a go truck, it's kind of hard to just...
Multiple go bags in your go truck.
There are multiple go bags in my go truck.
Is that like the go gadget truck?
Somewhat like it. There's something in every crevice.
Yeah.
I've got a general go bag, which contains a little bit of food, an MSR pocket rocket with the little isobutane. I got some water filtration stuff in there. I've got various kinds of knives. I got survivor cord. I got a little beeswax candle. I've got a map and compass. Depending on when I'm in and out of the vehicle, there's usually a kukri in there with me somewhere. They're more reliable than a hatchet for different things. Hatchet's kind of a one trick pony. It can do a lot, but I find I can do a little bit more with a kukri. Usually have multiple. It will cut
carrots very nicely.
Yes, we can definitely attest to that.
Oh, I'd forgotten about that.
I didn't. As soon as you said it was, hey, he's cutting carrots tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've got carrots. Veggie preps.
Yep. It will do a better job of processing carrots. A kukri will do a better job of processing carrots than
whatever knife I gave you that day.
Yeah, you'd given me another knife, and I remember trying the Mora Garberg out on my side, and that did a terrible job. So I went off to the kukri, and it did better.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good time.
So Jeff in the live chat brings up the fact that, Gunny, you're going to need a trailer, and I don't think he's wrong.
Yeah, he's absolutely right, but you're going to need the ideal trailer, and I haven't seen one yet that I'm happy with, so that's going to be another video. I'm going to build my own. There you go.
Video series, more like it.
It's going to be a series, yeah. There's going to be a lot of features to this trailer.
Build your own.
And you know, I haven't gone over all the rest of the gear, but you're starting to get a picture of what kinds of stuff I've got in there. Usually keep rain gear, rain boots, a little power pack, jerry cans. It's a mobile base. So how did I get to thinking this way? You might be wondering. Where does this sickness come from? When I was a combat engineer driving for my section, and my section was like, depending on how many people were there, anywhere between 9 and 12 people at the most, but usually between 9 and 11. So I'm packing gear for 9 to 11 people. And I got to know where it all is, because when they're running to the truck, and oh, by the way, I signed for it. So when you sign for something and you're working for the Crown, guess what? It's up to you to make sure it comes back, right? So I had to keep an eye on all the gear, and I had to think in advance of what to do to try and help out 11 men in the bush who are going to be prone to doing all kinds of stupid stuff. So I got to have all their tools. I got to have room for them and their living stuff, their packs. I got to have mission critical gear. I've got to have vehicle recovery gear. And then there's, of course, mission gear, right? So all of those things I had to always be concerned with. And you know what? Old habits die hard. You can take me out of the uniform, and that was a long time ago, but I still have the same attitude too. Okay, I'm out there on my own. There's nobody coming to help me. It's just me. How do I get myself out? And that was my approach. Prepare up front, load up the truck, build it up, make sure it's reliable. Try to make sure you keep it rubber side down. What else can I say?
And be ready to use them limber feeds if that all fails.
Yes. Have good boots. Now, there is a downside to living like this. The other day, I wanted to show Eric my 2 Baofengs.
You beat me to it.
Yeah, I couldn't find them. They were buried, right? So the more stuff you carry, the more onus you have to lay it out in such a fashion that it's more usable, right? So that's
the more stuff you carry, the more organized you need to be.
Absolutely. And if, like myself, you've run around for the last year everywhere, you're going to be a little bit disorganized. Things get misplaced. So the best thing I can tell you is that you want to keep your vehicle organized. You want to regularly go through it. it's really easy to forget what you have in the vehicle.
It is.
It is, right? I mean, just any of you know, right? You find that one thing in the back of the trunk, or that science experiment you've got growing in the bottom of the seat there under the seat. These things happen, right? So that's the one challenge of working in this way. You can't find stuff sometimes. It's hard on the vehicle too. Remember, I'm doing this out of a little Toyota Tacoma, which is a quarter-ton truck. And you've
got an extra of, 600 to 800 pounds in it all the time.
Oh, yeah. I've always got a payload.
Always. So, it affects gas mileage if you're looking to best bang for your buck for how far you can get. Obviously, I'm not saying you should cut anything down, but it's just one of those things where you can, you got to take it as a consideration.
Absolutely.
You want to go to Costco and fill up the truck. That's only $20 worth of supplies. If your truck is full, there's a give and take with it. You got to be careful. Yes, you want all these stuff. Yes, you want. I'm sure you could pack another 2 trucks full of stuff that you're I always want on you, but you got to figure out you
got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah. Well, what's the most likely scenario for you? Plan for that.
You bet.
Zombie apocalypse.
Hurricanes in December in
gunfight.
That's right. Now the funny thing is everything I just listed to you here kind of evolved over.
Kenny?
Oh, did we lose him?
Oh,
Kenny, push the play button, not the pause
my
button.
internet fucked up.
So we've lost Gunny. Those that heard he was trying to dig up his Balefang radios to show off. Don't worry, calm down, relax. We still got to show off some radios because I was able to access all of mine. So we couldn't find his stuff, but we had all my stuff out, and I was showing that off at least. Oh, I think we got him back.
Hey, where did I drop off?
We were talking to fill some of the time. I was mentioning the fact that, don't worry, we were still able to show off some radios when you and I met up because we couldn't find your radios in your truck, but we certainly found mine in mine. So
that's absolutely right. We did have a minor show and tell, though. I was able to find a few things.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good. It's good.
So that is the disadvantage. It's going to put more wear and tear on your vehicle. It's going to mean it's going to be a challenge in terms of finding things. And I got one more for you all. It's another one that's maybe less thought of, but any of you who live in the city will think of this. The more you keep in your vehicle, the more it can be stolen all in one shot.
You're right.
So I'm highly paranoid. I'm highly paranoid. I don't like leaving my truck out of sight. I don't like going into town with it. There's neighborhoods I'll just try to avoid altogether because I don't even want it to be seen. Now, my vehicle doesn't look like much on the outside, and that's a big part of my MO is to not look like much. It's literally gray. But that being said, it is one of the most stolen models of vehicle in the country, in the top 10. So you have to consider that. Yeah.
Just to remind you, Jeff is here. I just gave you your secret.
So I'm now working with this concept of, okay, I'm closer to the city these days, and I'm now wanting to lighten the load up a little bit so that I feel a little less uneasy being in the city.
Mel mentioned, there we go, sorry, in the chat that AirTag everything, some of the stuff you have, and I will agree and disagree at the same time. The only reason I will disagree is okay, I don't have an iPhone, so if someone puts an AirTag on my vehicle, they'll get away with it. But if you do have an iPhone, I have heard people we know that have gone places and they're in town somewhere, they're out having supper, this, that. They get home, next day they start the truck up, and their phone goes ding. New AirTag, do you want it? Or do you want to access it or something, right? So someone AirTagged their vehicle. So this is not going to be budget friendly, but there are other options of standalone tracking GPS systems. What I do for work, we have a few different options, a few different things. You can have them wired into your vehicle. You can have a standalone battery system, remote access to them, all these things. If that's a thing you are worried about, AirTag is a very cheap alternative. But I have heard that after a certain time, if you have an iPhone, they'll just say, like, you're in the middle of nowhere, you're the only vehicle, you're the only thing around, and all of a sudden it says, like, hey, do you want to pair with this thing because it's close to you? So now you got to think about it. Well, how long has that been on my vehicle? Where have I been since that has been on my vehicle? Now you're building a pattern.
Yeah, to save us from scrolling off into another tech episode, that was a security thing that was built into iOS shortly after they released the AirTags. For that exact reason, creepy people were doing creepy things with the AirTags, and there was no way for anybody else to know the AirTags are around. So they built that into a software update to alert you that, hey, FYI, there's an AirTag around here that you don't know about. Do you want to know about it?
Yeah,
that's why that's there. But
and your Bluetooth has to be on for all that to work too, right?
Correct.
So what I would probably end up doing is making my own homegrown solution, mostly out of a lack of trust.
By just going where there's no people.
Hold on. A prepper that has a lack of trust? What is going on tonight?
A commercial device can be hacked, right? So I'll probably make my own and achieve security through obscurity. And do it that way. But the other way would be to not have all that stuff. So that's one of the give and takes of being a prepper. Do you keep a lot of gear on hand? Do you have only a minimal amount? And again, it's going to vary on your situation. I don't spend a lot of time in the city, just a little bit now and then. I spend most of my time in the bush. So I model my approach based on where I spend the most amount of time. And I think that's what makes sense for everybody, right? Model your vehicle approach to what you're going to do, I think makes the most sense.
Yeah. So
I agree.
You got anything else?
Just keeping in mind of the time here, I think Terry's got a few points he wanted to get in.
What can I say to Top Gunny? I feel inadequate.
Yeah. You got lots, bud.
I feel totally inadequate.
No, but I'm like extreme,
Oh, yeah. That's okay. Oh, hey, I got stuff in there too, like axes and saws and so on, but and I always keep my go bag, and this time of year I was throwing some sleeping bags and a few extra goodies, but my poor little F-150, I'm afraid it would fall apart carrying that there load you got. I don't know how you do it in a Tacoma.
It's jammed in there, bud.
Strategic placement of equipment.
It must be.
But that's also why he doesn't have a Ford.
Yes.
Here we go.
I was just going to say that's the reason I don't have to carry all those extra tools with me. It's because I've got a Ford and it don't break down.
Volley back.
Now on the upside, I've almost never had to do a repair on my own truck. That's why I bought the Taco. I wanted something that would be reliable in my life, and so that was the route I took. But I still carry the OBD2 reader, and that was a habit from my Ford days. I've had a few bad runs. My last truck before that was a GMC Sierra, and that was a good year. That was a 2000, and it lasted a long, long time. But I have to admit that having the right vehicle to be reliable enough that you would feel comfortable to leave your stuff in it and operate, out of it, I don't know. That's a whole other discussion, I think.
I think we just identified another episode where we just bash each other's make and model of vehicle, because clearly all of us are going to say that our vehicle is the best.
Yeah. Listen, this bow tie till I die. That's just how it's going to be. But I do want to point something out. So, Gunny, you've got a Taco. You're a Yoda guy. Yep. Terry, you've got a Ford. I'm a bow tie guy. When I graduated automotive technology, I went to work for Chevrolet.
Nice.
I was a technician for them out in Chattanooga. I've had a lot of different vehicles, but my main area of expertise is going to be a bow tie, GMC, Chevy, you know. So if you're a bow tie guy, it would make sense for your vehicle to be a bow tie or a GMC.
Yep.
So what vehicle might be best for me? Exactly. What vehicle might be best for me might not be best for Terry. If Terry's been driving Fords his entire life, you know, he's probably going to look under my hood and be like, all right, I can get by, but he's not going to know those specific areas. Like, I want to say it was 2010, Ford had a safety feature to let you know that the battery was dying or the battery was going dead by keeping the headlights on, even when the vehicle was cut off. So Ford's big, bright idea was to let you know that your battery is going to die. We're going to kill your battery. So those little things. But if you're not a Ford guy, chances are you're not going to know that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's so figure out what you know. Like, stick with what you know. Whether, I mean, we can trash talk all whatever trucks you want to talk about, but I mean, I grew up GM. We've got a Chevy right now. You grew up Ford. Terry could take his truck down the road and just be like, I hear this noise starting, and that's going to be this problem in 6 months from now, where you and me would never pick up on it, and vice versa. So, like, go with what you know, or deal with it and start new and start learning a whole new truck because that's the truck you want. But yeah, it's just
like I know, exactly, like Toyotas. I know their trucks. The rockers are really bad about rusting out. So Toyotas stress me out. I love Toyotas. But up north, they stress me out. They stress me out because I know the trucks, the frames are usually pretty bad about rusting, and the rocker panels are really bad about rusting. Which I can weld in a rocker panel. I can fix a frame unless as long as I got something to weld to.
Yeah, and that's normally just like we're going way off topic, but that's just mostly all imports because they were not designed for weather where, you know, we get crazy cold weather, assault on the roads and all that stuff. So that they're very substance. The Hondas, Toyotas, Hyundais, all those things, fantastic everything. But yeah, their giant downfall is the body rust out way more than North American made vehicles.
I would say this about vehicles. If this is something one is considering doing, it might be a good idea to start by doing the research on what's the ideal, reliable platform for you to start with. Yeah. I started with a blank slate. I had no idea which route I was going to go. The reason I went with the Taco is because this is basically a truck that has won wars. And resistant warfare from very, very modern civilizations. This little truck has fared well. So I wanted something that was that level of tough, but also small enough that I could go into a really hard road. So I knew what my requirements were. And then what I did is I went to carcomplaints.com. And I have no affiliation with that website. I have none at all. I can just tell you that site has allowed me to filter down the list of potential vehicles very quickly. To me, a vehicle is something, and please everybody keep this in mind, I don't get emotional about vehicles or too attached because they are assets that drop in value very quickly, right? You buy a brand new truck, drive it off the lot, it just lost 30 to 50% of its value. So I don't get emotional or attached to them. I just want the thing to do what it's supposed to when it's supposed to.
Yeah, so you lose that asset, but the cool factor goes up.
Oh, sure, right? You can get that cool factor, but me cool in the bush means I'm alive and I got back. So if it looks pretty, secondary to me, right? So again, know what your requirements are, go do some research, narrow it down to a list of good vehicles so you don't have to spend days and days and days searching. And that's how I went about it. But everybody's approach is different. You know, I've seen people do the vehicle as a home base with a station wagon.
Yep.
It's doable. Yep.
I think we're going to have to do an episode on different makes and models because now we're starting to get questions.
I saw that now in my head. I was like, we're not having this discussion tonight.
So
I was like,
we're not going to go down. We're not going down this rabbit hole this episode.
Yep.
So Brandon's asking what our take is on the Ford Excursion. You know what? We'll get there. We're going to do an episode on vehicles,
but we cut Terry off. So let's let Terry finish because I got a very small to add to what everybody has said because I agree with everything on here. Small things to add, and then and
we'll wrap her up.
I'm not going to say nothing. What more can I say right now? That's good. That's good. It's good to pick on my poor Ford. But I'll save my comments for the next show when we're going to talk about vehicles, I guess. But anyway,
all right,
that's all right. All's good.
All right. So yes, everything that has been said, tools, food. I have a Tacti snack is what I call it. So I've got a 430 cal polymer ammo bin that comes in a crate. I bring it in the house, fill it up with non-perishables. In the summer, I'll keep Gatorade or two. I normally always have water, Gatorade or two, non-perishables, quick sugar snacks. So like chocolate chip cookies that you buy at Costco and all that stuff, granola bars, just food. You know, I didn't plan. I was planning to be home at 5, and I don't get home till 9, and I don't want to stop somewhere and pick up food. I'll grab a few granola bars and like something to keep the sugars up. Yep. So yeah, that's what I do. Take it in from time to time. Okay, well, winter's coming. Okay, take the Gatorade out. I don't care if my Cliff Bar freezes. I'll stick it in an armpit to unthaw it before I eat it, if need be. So booster cables and all that stuff, I 100% agree. Costco, we purchased a booster pack, but it also has a tire inflator on it, USB ports, wireless charger for some reason. But it'll start whatever, so it's good to have booster cables, but if there's no other vehicle to help you boost, one of those things.
Have your own.
Yeah, exactly. Have your own. So getting into the colder months, you don't want to keep batteries outside. So it's a thing that you should bring in and bring out, start your truck or whatever. Very cold weather does draw a lot on batteries. Only other thing I'll add, so we bought one of those inflatable mattresses that you can put in the backseat of the truck. So you pump it up and it takes that weird void between the front seat and back seats. So if we're traveling as a family, we can kind of get comfy, or at least, our truck, you have a full front seat, bench seat, but you can get 2 people sleeping in the back, 1 in the front. A good few hours of rest can make a world of difference on how miserable or not miserable you're going to be on top of all that.
Agreed.
And for the very hot times where you got to pull over, your vehicle broke down, it's going to be a few hours, you're getting some snooze, and nobody wants to sit in a vehicle with the windows up. We did purchase those screens or bug nets or whatever that you can put over your door and keep the windows down and not get eaten alive. They are dirt cheap. They take barely any space and keep 2 windows down, get some airflow in there. Can make a world of difference between being completely miserable and hot or getting eaten alive by mosquitoes, flies, wasps, whatever. They slide over your door, put the window down, put it over your door, close the door, no bugs get in. Can make a giant difference, and they're pennies on the dollar compared to being comfortable in those very hot days.
So this is what I carry for a little. It's a booster pack. I got it it's a Motormaster, so I got it from Canadian Tire.
Yep.
And it's got, like Pierre says, it's got a set of booster cables on it. It's got USB plugins. It's got a flashlight.
A flashlight, all
that stuff that I need. The only thing it doesn't have is a compressor, but I have one. I can confirm it will start a V8, no problem.
Yep.
So it's handy to have. I keep
Your
it in my
V8 or somebody else's?
mine.
Yeah,
but that was my
all
own
that
fault.
matters. At that point, that's all that matters. Because if there's another vehicle, you'll probably use your booster cables. But yeah, that small stuff. And then so to add on top of all the first aid stuff, I normally have a little Tupperware containers. As much as I hate going to the dollar store and buying those Tylenol, Advil things for $2-3 where you only get a few pills, I will definitely buy a few of those, and then I will add your Tylenol, Imodium,
Midol.
all those things, and I have it in a little Tupperware containers. Nothing sucks more than an upset stomach. You got to stop every 20 minutes. You got a lot of tourniquets, but that tourniquet's not going to help that leak. But having those types of medication with you,
boy,
can at least get you somewhere where you can get help. But Tylenol, Imodium, Midol, all those things, little Tupperware container, you can throw it in your glove box. It doesn't have to go in your go bag or whatever. But think worst case scenario where it's 2 hours between bathrooms, something that can help you get to somewhere where you can deal with that or take a rest for a few hours, is one thing that is gravely overlooked, in my opinion, for many people.
I like it. It's a good point.
Good one.
All right. Any other last minute thoughts from any other panelists?
Can openers.
Can openers are very important. Just fill your car full.
So I know Brad didn't mention
long distance hole punch.
Yes, if I could.
Yeah.
Yes, Pierre.
So, yes. When Brad did one of the podcasts or whatever, I asked him if he mentioned his preps, because we took one of those old school can openers because we went camping in my camper, and apparently my can opener wasn't in there, and we needed the can opened. And Brad was like, "Hold on," and he went to his bag and we got the can open, so it can save pizza night.
Yes, spaghetti night. It was spaghetti night.
Spaghetti? Okay, it was spaghetti night. Yeah,
night.
we needed a few cans of spaghetti sauce opened up, and I was like, "Man, I don't want to go anywhere. We've been drinking, and everything." And he's like, "Hold on," and it was a pain in the ass to open up those 3 cans, but that little pocket one that's you gotta inch your way through.
Little military folding one.
Those are the best.
It saved the day that night because nobody had to go anywhere.
No accidents with somebody trying to poke it with a knife, and like Pierre said, we were drinking, not heavily, but we were drinking, and then realized, okay, we need food, and oh crap, we don't have a can opener. Well, Pierre didn't have a can opener, and light bulb went on. Oh wait, I brought that other bag with me, so I went to it, and sure enough, I had one. It's now sitting in Pierre's camper.
Very nice.
I have since replaced mine with my stock at home.
The dollar store. I bought one at the dollar store, and then we found the one that's from there. So now we have 3 in the fucking camper.
I can't think of any better way to end the main section of the podcast than on talking about can openers. It's
Lovely.
perfect. It's a great segue into the podcast challenge, I think. Podcast challenge for this evening's episode is review your vehicle preps, update it as you see fit, and if you've only got 1 can opener, add a second.
Get another.
Yeah. I see we're blank for the weather blurb this evening, Jeff.
I'm kind of going by the adage, it's the calm before
under
the storm.
weather.
So
hey, well done. Jeff was under the weather.
Jeff was under the weather.
All right. Anyone want to run with deal of the week? Who tossed it in there?
I don't know who tossed it in there.
Oh, I think that was me. Yes.
Well, there we go then.
If you are into crimping your own large wire gauge cables at Princess Auto, we have a sale on this week. I lost the price already. There we go. It is normally $79, but it is $15 off. You can buy the tool you need to crimp anything up to 4/0 welding cable. That's serious wire. There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Gunny, do you actually have one?
Yes, I do. And thanks for asking. because I have a new video out on that very topic. So go ahead and take a look at my channel, and you'll see me using it.
Does it stay in your truck all the time?
No, but it's currently in the truck because I'm doing some winch wiring work and maybe a few other little tidbits.
Oh, well, when you come out this way again, if you remember, throw it back in your truck. I got a couple of wires that I need some crimping.
Wunderbar.
There you go.
Very nice.
I've even restocked on terminals, so we're good.
Oh, all right then.
Got you covered.
All right, quick shout out to David, our newest Patreon. Appreciate you helping support the show and keep
Dave.
lights on and the backup generator fueled. It certainly does help.
No,
very nice.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. So with that, I'll bring episode number 216 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the audio podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or, of course, your favorite podcast app. Please submit a review. It does help other people find us.
And we do record these shows live on YouTube, Facebook if we have to. If you want an early peek at the shows, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. That gives you an alert when we are going live. If for whatever reason you want to reach me, you can reach me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca, or I am on the Discord.
We stream the Facebook because Ian can't go there.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but
who's this Ian you speak of?
Is that the intern we had?
No, he was. No, guys, I remember who he is now. He was the Life Straw rep that did an episode with us a little while ago.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
I still haven't gotten mine. Fucking ass.
If anyone wants to reach out, they can do so at batbradcpp@gmail.com, or as Jeff is, I am on the Discord.
You can reach me on the Discord app, or you can reach me at crossrifleranch@gmail.com.
You can reach me off the wall customizing on all the socialist medias. We are shutting down temporarily due to moving, and that's the first stuff to get packed. Discord, I mean, technically I'm on there, but I don't check it. Or you can find me Monday nights on the other CPP, where I talk about critiquing the government and being way more explicit than on Sunday nights, because it's a work week thing.
And me, you can reach me on Facebook on the annual Preppers Meet Facebook page, or on my email at terrylblackmore@hotmail.com.
You can find me, the Frugal Gunny, on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, Instagram, and CPP's Discord.
All right, please check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com. You can get me there on the live chat. You can also email at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. I'm pretty sure we got Greg already, right? Yes, we did.
Yes, we got Greg.
Perfect. Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss him again. Thanks for joining us this evening. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
and keep learning.